Yo guys, what is up? Welcome back to some more Zero Hour. Well, kind of welcome back to some Zero Hour. Welcome back to some paint workshop, which I will show you in a second. But this is a video I've wanted to make for absolutely ages, but I keep putting it off because I keep wanting to make it all fancy and do some cool animations or graphics or present it better than on paint. But you're going to see I'm just going to jump straight to the chase and look at it on paint. So I just want to revert you to this comment that I've seen quite a few times from different people. But this one's from Tomislav, so shout out to Tomislav for watching my videos, but also leaving a decent comment as well, because it's a fair point, to be fair. So basically what he's saying here is Reznov beat me and Boyka. Boyka then beat Fargo. Size beat Boyka, but then Fargo won Size, and then WTF as in how can that happen? So that's what I want this video to cover today. So I've basically wrote out a few examples here on this left-hand side. So yeah, in order of sequence of events, I think this is the sequence that it happened. So Size is on a bit of a roll lately. He beat Xcal. I think that score was 7-3 in a set of best of 13. Size then also proceeded to beat Boyka. Then Boyka beat Fargo only, I think, yesterday or the day before in a very, very close set. I think it was 7-6 he won. So basically the chain's going like this. It's going from those two, then it beats those. So that, according to that, Size is better than Boyka and better than Fargo, yeah? But then, flip turn of events, Fargo then beats Size. So then this goes all the way back to here. So then according to that last line there, where Fargo is beating Size, which he just did in the World Series, you would imagine then Fargo would easily be able to beat Xcal and Boyka, surely. But every time actually Fargo's played against Xcal, he's mostly lost. I don't think he's ever won a set, or if he's won a set, it's probably just a random one-off. So how is that logic possible if we've got player A and he beats B and B beats C, then surely player C should easily lose to player A, correct? Well, you would think that, but it's not quite that simple. So we've got another example down here. Google beats Xcal. He beat him in a very close set, 7-6 a few weeks back. Fargo, in the last set they played, I'm not saying all the sets, but in the last set that they played, the most recent one, I believe Fargo beat Google. I mean, if I'm wrong here or something, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't watch all of these sets, but I'm pretty sure that happened in the previous set they played. Fargo beat Google. But then in a recent set a few weeks ago, I then beat Google like 7-4 or something like that. But last time I played Xcal, he beat me. So, but if we look at this line here, for example, so if I've beaten Google there and Google has beaten Xcal, I should therefore easily be able to beat Xcal, correct? According to this theory of A, B, C. But actually, Xcal, the last time me and Xcal played, he beat me in I think it was a tournament. Was it 4-3 for him or something like that? So again, this logic of player A beats player B beats player C, but then C is somehow not able to beat player A. Like, what's going on here? Why isn't it so simple as A beats B, B beats C, and then C loses to A? But that isn't always the case. Why is this chain being broken, and why is this theory wrong? Well, the simple answer is that there are so many different variables going on. There's so many different clashes of styles. There's so many different maps and matchups in Zero Hour. And there's so many other variables, like you might be having a lack of sleep on one day, or you might struggle against a certain player mentally. The fact is that there's so many variables. There's probably like thousands and thousands of variables going on in all of these games. So for example, let's say for example, Fargo is beating Google there for the first time in a while, yeah? Let's say Google was up all night that previous night. Let's say he'd arranged with Fargo to be there at a certain time to be on this tournament. But in the previous night, he was kept up all night and had no sleep whatsoever. Had 0 hours of sleep, but he was up doing work all night because he had like some urgent meetings the following day, and therefore had to play it on a lack of sleep. That's going to severely impact his gameplay, isn't it? Or let's say, for example, Google might really struggle against my style of play, for example. So he might lose it in that one set that me and him played, and then he might do really well against Excal style here, for example. That's just one example. I'm not saying that is the truth. I'm not saying he does struggle against my style at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are different styles in Zero Hour, and that may be a variable as well. But one of the biggest variables, for example, is down here. There's 132 different matchups. You would say there's 12 armies. 12 times 12 is 144, but you don't count the mirrors twice, so you wouldn't count USA versus USA, and then reverse that would be just USA versus USA, so you would deduct 12. So according to that calculation, there's 132 different matchups. Yes, some of them are the same, like Laser versus USA, etc. They're all kind of the same. But in total, there really is 132 different matchups. And I just did a quick count before. There's 22 official maps in Zero Hour. And then there's... yeah, well, you do the maths. The rest of them, 118, is or there or thereabouts. I didn't count them exactly. There could be a little bit less, a little bit more, because there's loads of different versions. There's like a tournament, what is it? Tournament Arena Summer Arena V1 and V2 and all that kind of stuff. There's different variations, but there was in total 160 maps, but I just deducted 20 because there's loads of different versions of some. So it's about 140. It could be a tiny bit less, but either way, if you do the maths, 132 different matchups and 140 different maps. That is limitless. There's probably, even though some of us have been playing the game since the dawn of when it came out, that I can guarantee you there's some maps and matchups of combinations that we have never played before, and you would go into it having not really played that combination before, and therefore you might struggle, you might do really well, or yeah, whatever. There's also different things going on in terms of the way games are played nowadays. So you can play games on Clan Wars, for example, which is just a 1v1, generally a bit higher level than if you just like log in for fun games on Revora, for example, or on Game Ranger. But if you play on if you play on Clan Wars, generally you jump into a game, you get your army, and then you type it. You say like I'm Demo or I'm Laser or whatever. But when you play a tournament game, for example, which is here, then you will get your army, and then you'll do a rematch. You'll come out of there, and you could spend 5 minutes coming up with a strategy. So if it also depends. Well, for example, if you're really good at coming up with strategies, when you've got 5 minutes to think about it, then that is very different to if you just jump in a 1v1 Clan Wars and you've got like literally a 4-second window to think about it when you jump straight in. So those two are very different. Also in tournament games, when there's hundreds of people watching, like for example, World Series Grand Finals in the past have had over 1,000 viewers, or maybe even 2,000 if you include the Russians or more. There's a lot more pressure on you, a lot more eyeballs on you, a lot more mental pressure in tournament games than there is, for example, on Clan Wars and fun games, which is why it annoys me sometimes when people discount tournament games and say, oh, Clan Wars is more accurate. Clan Wars is also random versus random, by the way, so that can influence Clan Wars stats as well. So yeah, tournament games, in my opinion, are the most mentally testing and challenging, because you've got 5 minutes to think of a strat nowadays, which I don't know, you could say that's fair or not fair. I think some people benefit from thinking of the strats more than others. But yeah, I think tournament games are the most mentally taxing and stressful, because generally Clan Wars and for fun games, there's no eyeballs on you. It's random versus random. You think of a strat there and then. Yeah, it's all very different. You get the picture. There's also round robin games. So when you're in a tournament, for example, and it's a round robin means you play everyone like once or twice. So if you lose one set, like in a tournament game, which is another reason why it's so mentally taxing, is because if you play a round robin, it doesn't matter if you lose one set, because as long as you win all your other games against the other people, you're not out of a tournament. It's not like a single elimination. So basically what I'm trying to get to here, this is about the jumping in, getting the armies, knowing the armies, the difference in that. But then what about all the other variables? Like, have you done any exercise that week? Have you eaten any fruit and vegetables that week? Are you stressed? Are you splitting up from your girlfriend? Have you just lost your job? Is there loads of things on your mind? Has your baby kept you up until 4 a.m. in the morning because you won't go to sleep? That's happened to me a few times, and then I've gone straight into a tournament the next day. I don't mention it, or I won't say that's affected me or whatever. I don't want to come out with excuses, but that has been the past. That has been the truth in some cases in the past, and that can't be affecting someone more positively if they have had a lack of sleep, or if they've got other things on their mind, or maybe their cars broke down, or there's like literally thousands or tens of thousands of variables that impact all of these days. Some days you might log onto your computer, you've got no worries at all, you've had a beautiful sleep, you're really in the mood, you're feeling really motivated. That's another thing about motivation, by the way, because like through lockdown, loads of people have been trapped away, a lot of people have been spamming Zero Hour, but when people have not been going outside and getting depressed and stuff, they might have a lack of motivation, which I'm sure I went through at one point when I was playing Zero Hour, because I was just trapped in all like through the winter. I didn't feel like even remotely motivated. So that's like another point. So the point is basically this player A beats player B beats player C. So therefore, surely C would lose to A. It does not strictly work. And when you've got a lot of players that are there or thereabouts on the same level, you would argue XCal's a level above in general. But when they're all pretty close in general, just because one player beats one player on one day does not automatically mean another player is going to beat another player on another day. Or even if they did a rematch the next day, it automatically doesn't mean that they're going to beat them again. So yeah, just a little bit of a rant. Hopefully you found that useful or somewhat. And yeah, shout out to, was it Tomislav? Yeah, Tomislav for the comment. Really appreciate it. So yeah, no doubt a lot of other people are thinking about that, and hopefully that helps you at least understand my point of view. But if you've got a different point of view or whatever, let me know in the comments, or if you can think of any other variables or anything like that. But that's just like off the top of my head. I literally just wrote this down in 5 minutes because it's been building up in my mind, wanting to put out a video on it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anything I missed here, anything you want to add, and yeah, any other weird situations like these two examples here on the left. But I'm sure you can think of countless others. There's probably been loads and loads over time. So, for example, last year, the World Series, Shea kicked me out of the World Series. But just a week ago, I was beating him basically with my eyes closed. Oh no, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? But they were 1v1 Clan Wars games. Was he focused as hard in those 1v1 clan games? Was I playing better that day? And all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, tournament games, people are focusing harder. So yeah, just because he beat me last year doesn't mean I can beat him this year, and vice versa, and etc. etc. So yeah, you let me know what you think in the comments. GG, and see you in the next one.